This episode is sponsored by JDAQA Software Testing, your scalable solution for manual, automated, security, and performance testing. Check us out at jdaqa.com. And with that, let's get on with the show.
This is The First Customer, hosted by Jay Agnew.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the First Customer Podcast. My name is Jay Agnew. Today, I'm lucky enough to be joined by Joel Reed. He's the CEO and founder of OpenArc, helping clients build software and hire great people. Joel, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing great, Jay. Trying to stay warm here in this cold December in Pittsburgh. How are you?
Same thing over here in Philly. I was in Florida and then San Diego. So coming back here is not fun when it's, 30 or 40 degrees. But whatever. You guys have a little bit colder there, I think, right? Was it in the 30s, 40s there? Right now?
There's probably 3 inches of snow outside. We're supposed to get 6 next week. So
okay. My kids were all excited to be off yesterday, and one of my favorite things as a parent is that moment of disappointment when they realize they have to go to school. It's the best. It's the absolute best. You're like, just kidding, guys. It just rained. Get on the bus.
My son did get to stay home yesterday, so he was happy.
All right. Mine, all mine were annoyed in the morning, but that's okay. All right. Where did you grow up, and did that have an impact on you being an entrepreneur?
Great question. I grew up in Hampton Township, which is a suburb of Pittsburgh. And my dad worked for Westinghouse, and he was an engineer, mechanical, electrical engineer. And there was really not any entrepreneurialism in my house or family or anything like that. I will say that when I was 12 or 14, I realized that if you owned a business, that magazines would send you free copies of their magazine. So I became the CEO of Migalot Industries, and I got lots of free magazines for myself, but there was not any other entrepreneurialism there in Hampton Township that I was tuned in on.
Okay. Oh, I've actually never heard that theory for free magazines. I love that. That's great, especially as a kid. And it's probably true. That's a great idea. I love that. All right. So, I saw you kind of went through a bunch of different stuff before you started your business. What kind of made you go from, all right, I'm ready to kind of leap into my own thing here? What was kind of the moment where you said, I'm going to go build something instead of go work for somebody else?
Yeah, I was working at Development Dimensions International from about 1995 till 2008. And that is a great company. Got to know a lot of great people there. Learned a lot about building software products for customers and leadership. So very thankful for my time at DDI. I hit somewhat of a plateau in my career there and thought that I'd been passed over for maybe a position that I was well suited for. So I decided that maybe my time was up there, and I moved to a startup company in about April of 2008. And you probably, I don't know if you're old enough for this to remember the great financial crisis.
I definitely am old. I appreciate you think that I'm not, but I definitely am old enough to.
Okay. Well, anyway, so that happened not too many months after joining the startup. All the funding dried up, and our startup just got absorbed into one of the investors' companies. And so I was the only software person there in an IT consulting company, and wondering what did I do to my career. I blew it up. I was a leader at DDI building multi-million-dollar software projects, and now I am coding at a consulting company that doesn't even really do software. I've just destroyed my career. And it's the great financial crisis, right? So not a great time to be looking for another job. But I was looked around at me at the folks running the company, and I thought, I feel like given all the experience I got at DDI of leading and building software, that I could probably do what they were doing. So it kind of took me being pushed into this low point in my career to give me the motivation to start a company. And so that was the beginning of OpenArc, that low point. And I always tell people afterwards that, that has forever given me a new perspective on those times when everything looks kind of bleak and blown up, that it might just be the start of something new that you didn't expect and never would have guest, a year before that. So
I love that. Where did the name OpenArt come from?
my partner and I were very into open source software at the time, kind of the software that runs a lot of the internet nowadays, Linux, Firefox, Android, those kind of platforms we're all familiar with. Open source was a big thing back then. It maybe and still is. It's become much more well accepted now. But we were very into the idea of transparency, building trust, which is, I think, a key part of kind of releasing the code to your software. It helps to build trust for your customers. So that concept seemed like a very good concept for a consulting company, that we wanted to be very transparent with how we are doing our work, the decisions we're making, what we're building for folks, and that would build trust in our team and our process.
Hmm. Okay. So what was kind of step one? You're like, all right, I'm not being utilized, my skill set the best at this place. I'm going to go out and start this company. Now, did you find somebody to partner up with? Did you know somebody to partner up with? Like, what was step one once you guys were like, all right, we're going to go do this thing? Like, how did you start accumulating clients and defining what you guys were going to do? And like, what was kind of the kickoff for all that stuff?
Well, that's a great question. I love this, Jay, diving in deep on that. Really, the first step was finding another person who wanted to go on this journey with me. Lots of conversations with him. And then I got a call out of the blue from my current business partner, Bethany, a different individual, Bethany Simon. She runs our talent group. She called me out of the blue and said she had a position for me. She didn't know what I was doing. She didn't know I was starting a company. And I said, I will take that position if I can work 4 10-hour days instead of 5 8-hour days, because I want to use that extra day to start working on the company. So totally out of the blue call from Bethany. She was able to work with the customer to give me that 4 10-hour thing, which was, a little bit unusual at the time. And that gave me the income to feed my family and my business partner family, and then use that one day to start working on building the company out, creating an operating agreement, opening up bank accounts, stuff like that, going out there, talking to customers. So it really started with that call from Bethany and that opportunity to work 4 tens.
Hmm. One day a week. How did you spin up, something that's lasted 20 years for one day a week? That seems like a lot of
It,
shit to cram into one day.
it's a very small start, and obviously you're working nights and weekends and not,
Right.
all the time. That one day was for meetings with people during the day that, you can pull off at nighttime. But it was a very small step. And, eventually I was able to, as I mentioned, my business partner was able to quit his job, and we lived off of my salary for a while, tapped our savings, and him working full time on it was really got us those first customers.
Mm. I was gonna say, so what did you guys offer, and who was your first customer?
The Butler Area School District was our first customer,
Okay.
and at the time there we offered software consulting services and hardware. We did IT consulting and sold hardware,
Hmm.
network kind of solutions, routers, firewalls, those kind of things. So my business partner had a long relationship with the IT director there at the school district, and she was excited to work with us in our new venture. And I really think at the beginning, a couple of keys for me. One is having a business partner. That was huge. And secondly is having a good network of people that you can, tap into right off the bat, people that know and trust you and will work with you no matter where you are.
Mm. Did you guys have this? How did you guys split roles eventually? Was it natural, or did you guys like actually draw some lines in the sand about who was going to be doing what?
Yeah, we did over the next couple of years. It was all hands to the pump. Everyone just did whatever it took, whether we were cleaning up after our summer picnic parties, cleaning the trash or cleaning the office or building desks to, deciding what our marketing strategy was going to be or someone being the CEO or whatever it would be. So that involved a lot of conversation, obviously, but I think there was a pretty good recognition of, hey, this is something you're great at. Go run with this. I'll do this. We're a team. And that mostly worked out.
Hmm. And who is your customer today compared to, your first customer back then? Like, are you serving the same type of people? Are you doing the same type of thing? Like, what's changed over those 20 years?
Yeah, so we don't work with school districts anymore and we don't sell hardware or do IT consulting. So, we started as a company that did staffing, software development, and IT services. And we eventually realized that the staffing and software things were a strong fit, lots of synergy between them. But the IT services business, very different. A lot of it involved selling hardware, having paying for a large amount of inventory, being a small fish in a big ocean with, companies like Cisco and stuff pushing you around maybe on pricing and margins and stuff like that. So, yeah, totally different in terms of who we sell to today. Don't really work with school districts or do IT services. So, yeah, I think at the beginning we were willing to sell and do anything, which I think a lot of startups are probably in that category. Whatever people will pay for that you can do well, you're on board for doing that. And as we've grown over the years, we've tried to refine and focus on the things where we can really differentiate ourselves and make an impact here in Pittsburgh.
It's refreshing to say no. But it's
Yeah.
refreshing. It's refreshing to get to the point where you can say no. That's the fun part. You go, oh, we can actually like we're not going to go out of business if we say no. We can pick and choose who we want to work with. So it's a perk of putting in the hard work of doing everything for everybody at the start. You can eventually go, that's not what we do anymore.
I do think it's Jay. I do
Yeah, go
think it's
ahead.
very difficult to go from a general consulting company in a certain segment with a broad range of customers to narrow that to a smaller group of customers. It's something we've worked on for years now and just starting to get some traction on further specializing. But
Hmm.
you're right, it's great to be able to say no, and but it's not easy and it's continual process.
It's a fantastic segue. It's almost like you had these questions, but you don't because I didn't send you any.
No.
Um, what I was gonna ask, and I've talked to some of your partnership guys and your biz dev guys and your sales guys, being a generic or a generalized custom software development shop seems to have hit a wall around the pandemic time. Like maybe a little bit before that or whatever, but like especially the last couple years where it's like you really are just saturated. And I know a lot of those agency owners that are in my network or my clients or whoever. So I hear this all the time over and over again. And I think maybe manufacturing and some other things from your team that you guys are like really good at and you're starting to hone in
Mhm.
on. So I mean, is that an accurate kind of feel of the timeline? Were you able to do more of that, 5, 10 years ago, where you could just be the shop that develops software, in any vertical, in any kind of space, as long as you're selling it and you've got a good, pitch and you can build some trust and like. But now it seems like that's not even enough anymore. You just even to get somebody's attention, you almost have to be, vertical based or region based or some combination of
Mhm.
both, so you really have that
Mhm.
power. Is that kind of what you guys have felt over the past, 20 years as well?
Yeah, the market's definitely changed. 7, 8 years ago, we would get leads through our website quite frequently. And I would say around that time frame you're mentioning of the pandemic, that really dried up. And we do not see that as a source of new business for us.
Hmm.
And I think, you know, we were talking before we started this podcast about the impact of the pandemic and how that changed so many things. And I really think a lot of people, spend a couple years working out of their homes and not building maybe their network went on pause, right? Building those networks, making new relationships. And so we've really tried for the last 3 years or so to double down on getting out,
Hmm.
meeting people, talking to people in those verticals that we want to be in. And I think that's been the key for our continued success because since the pandemic, you really just can't sit at home and wait for those leads to come in. That's not how it works anymore.
So tell me a little bit more about, and I find this very interesting because I think, you know, it is the natural progression, right? You go from doing everything for everybody, to starting to say no to some people, to start to identify common threads or things or people that your companies you've worked with, and you start to develop an identity of who you are and what verticals you work in. But what has been your process, getting into the weeds a little bit here of like, how are you guys starting to like really go, okay, we're gonna pay attention to, this vertical or this industry or this region or whatever. How are you guys identifying those? Is it the common thread of you've worked with a bunch of them before? Is it something you see in the market? Is it, the networks you guys have? What is it, and how are you guys trying to go from, being a generic software development agency to something that's more vertical or more defined that you can kind of target at specifically? What is your process you guys are using to do that?
Yeah, great question, Jay. First of all, I really think it's important to have someone in charge of any major initiative that you're doing like that. I do not want it to be some group effort. I need one neck to strangle and one person who's going to own the success of that. So, that to me is step one. And Mike Carpenter is leading that effort here at OpenArc. We are spending the next thing we really did, or the first thing after that, was really get out there and talk to people in this segment, customers, that could be potential buyers in the future that we had a relationship with, and ask them about what challenges they're having, talk to them about the things we have experience with and expertise at, and find out if is that on their roadmap, or do they know people who are working on those kind of solutions. So we felt it was very strong to talk to as many people as we could in the segments that we were targeting, to learn from them about what, where their pain points were. We didn't want to come with, well, we've done these 3 or 10 things for customers before, so we're just going to go start pitching that to everybody. No, that didn't sound like a wise approach. We wanted to go out there, ask them where their pain points were, and see how that aligned with where our expertise was. So we finished that process a month or two ago, and are just starting to refine our messaging and offerings for what we've heard out there in the marketplace.
My normal question is, what would you do if you had to start over tomorrow? And I want to
Mhm.
throw a little extra onto that, which is, if you were to start the same company, same product, tomorrow, kind of what would be step one? But would you recommend it be a software development agency? Because I've heard many people who sell those and go, I would start another company, but I would never start another one of those again because you're project based, you're deliverable based. A lot of, I know you guys have the staffing thing, which probably, is a nice little, not a little, but nice revenue stream from that side.
Mhm.
The project based continual hamster wheel that we're all on in the agency space to some degree, but being project based, there's a start, there's an end. If you don't renew, it's I need a new customer and I need another customer. Would you, number one, would you start a software development agency over again in 2025? And if so, what
Mhm.
would be step one to start that agency tomorrow?
Great question, Jay. I love building software for customers. And you're right, the project world is tough. You constantly have to be out there selling new projects. I think building a consulting company is probably easier than building a lot of different, product based companies in some ways. So that's the advantage of it, easier to maybe build and get off the ground, and that you don't need a lot of outside capital to do it. But you have, as you just pointed out, the challenge of continuing to need to sell. But I do love building software. It's something I do in my free time still after, 30 years of doing this. So I probably would. I think I would start another software company because of that. And, right now, to be honest, AI is really changing a lot how you build software, and frankly it's making it even more enjoyable to do that. You can build things more quickly for customers and put a lot more polish and features into them, and you don't need to go poking around on the internet to find out the syntax for this latest SDK, and work around debugging it or anything like that. The A lot of that, the AI is taking care of for you now. So I think it's making it even more enjoyable, the whole space.
Okay, I like that. Well, all right. So if you were to start over tomorrow, what would be step one?
Step one, I still think having a great team of people to work with is the key to success. So I would probably want to find some like-minded people with similar values to me who would want to go on this venture with me.
Hmm. All
It's
right.
all about the people you're working with and those people having similar set of values as you do.
I agree. And those same friends that have sold those, businesses, it set me my own journey of like, am I enjoying the money chase part of this, or am I enjoying running a team of like really awesome people? And I fell very much in the latter category, and it
Yeah.
changed the mindset and some of the goal setting and some of the stuff you do when you're sitting down. You're like, yeah, revenue, and we need to increase, and we need to do all this stuff, but like, it's not. That's not the driver for me as the owner of my company. It's not like, can we just make X amount more per year? Which, as a business, that's what you're taught to do. You're just like, you need to have growth every year. You need to make more money. You need to do this stuff, and it's like it just becomes this like bar that you can never really reach because it always goes up the next year. But it's if you're not passionate about it, if you're not driven by the people you work with, then it's just some arbitrary number you're chasing. So I can relate very much with
Yeah.
starting with the team, because that, to me, even after 10 years of me doing it, that's the same thing that I come to work for every day, is like the
Yeah.
people that I work with. I love it. So I love that answer.
If I could
Yeah, yeah,
just
go ahead.
throw in,
Yeah,
Jay, that probably what I love about building software is solving problems for our customers that are real challenges for them. So that what gets me out of bed in the morning when get the opportunity to do that for people. It's like the people you work with and those shared values. That's like table stakes, but then solving real problems for customers. That's like the greatest part about it.
I love it. I love it. Do you care about personal brand at all? Are you out there doing stuff? Are you trying to let people know that Joel is the open art guy, and like you do the smiles and the way? Are you doing that out there? Do you take any stock in personal brand, or is it more just about open art, the company?
I probably should be doing more. I probably should have a podcast
Well,
like
you're
you
here
have.
right now. You're here right now. That's step one. You're doing it. This is gonna make you
I know, but I
famous.
don't
So
have a
get ready.
podcast like you, Jay. So
That's fine. That doesn't do anything for me. Trust me. People don't know who I am because of this podcast. I promise you that. Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. Well, I have one question that I ask everybody on this show,
okay.
non-business related,
All right.
non-open arc, non, industry, non. This is just about you specifically.
Okay.
If you could do anything on earth and you knew you wouldn't fail, what would it be?
Anything on earth that I wouldn't fail at? Wow. Boy, can I say like something like play guitar?
Yes, say whatever you want. This is your part. Do whatever you want. Dude, Madison Square Garden sold out for Joel. Whatever you want,
That's
man.
right. That'd be
All
amazing.
right.
I do love music. And yeah, there's just something about getting carried away in that's really cool.
Well, you can't fail in the scenario. So you're a rock.
Yes. No, I'm
You're a
wrong.
rock star, dude.
Yeah.
You're it. You're the new. It's not Billy Joel. It's Joel Reed. That's the
Right.
new man. All right. Well, I love this conversation. I think you have some really great insight. I want to kind of make sure we stay in touch, and maybe have you back on again at some point. I love your team. I can tell. Like I said, you're a people first guy, which I am too, and I love that. So if people want to reach out to you directly about anything they heard today, how do they do that?
You can find me on LinkedIn, Joel Reed OA. There's two Joel Reeds in Pittsburgh, so make sure you have the one that
Really? Are
looks
you
like
related?
me on this podcast.
Are you
Uh,
related?
yeah, two, and I actually work with the other Joel Reed, so we're both in the technology space.
Wow.
So
Okay. All
make
right.
sure you find me, the one at Open Arc.
We'll link you in the bio. We'll do that.
All right,
All right. Well, Joel, you're fantastic, brother. Enjoy the rest of your week. Have a great holiday season, and we'll catch up again soon. All right.
all right, great.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Joel.
Jay.
See you, buddy. Later.